Today's learning target is given a real-world ratio. I can accurately create a table, including the column labels, that represents a set of equivalent ratios. So, if we take a look at this problem that we talked about on Thursday and Friday, Lynn is paid $90 for 5 hours of work. She used the following table to calculate how much she would be paid at this rate for 8 hours of work. Let's see if we can reconstruct that following table that we saw during yesterday's class. We know that we're comparing $90 to 5 hours of work. In other words, we're comparing Lynn's earnings in dollars to the amount of time that she works. Time in hours. Notice that I started off with my column labels because I need to know what each number in my ratio table represents. Once I have my column labels, I'm able to fill in the numbers I already know. $90 for 5 hours of work. Now, the question is asking us to use this table to calculate how much she would be paid for 8 hours of work, which means eventually I'm going to need an 8 in the time column. Before I do that, I'm going to figure out how much money Lynn makes for 1 hour of work. Because once I know how much money she makes per hour, it's going to be a lot simpler for me to figure out how much money she makes in 8 hours. Now we know that our ratio table is simply a collection of equivalent ratios. Whatever I do on one side, in this case 5 divided by 5 equals 1, is what I need to do on the other side. So I'll also divide 90 by 5 to tell me exactly how much money Lynn earns in 1 hour. Once I have her earnings per hour, in this case $18, it's going to be a lot simpler for me to figure out her earnings in 8 hours because I can simply multiply 1 times 8 to get the first side of the ratio, the hour side, and I'll do the same thing to the other side. 18 times 8, which tells me that in 8 hours, Lynn is going to make a total of $144. Remember, when you're creating a ratio table, you need your labels, and you need to make sure that the numbers you put in your table match your labels. Then you're simply finding equivalent ratios. If it's easier for you, you can always pull the ratios out of the table and set it up like this. 90 to 5 is equivalent to something to 1. In today's class, we're going to do a number talk, which we would have already completed while you're watching this video. We'll have some guided practice on Desmos. That's assignment number 1. And then we'll have some independent practice in a Google Doc, which will be assignment number 2. In order to achieve today's objective, you want to be really focused on a productive guided practice and a productive independent practice so you can ace that exit ticket at the end of class.